The word aesthetic can mean a lot of different things depending on the person. It's a word that can go hand in hand with words like style or artistry. I think aesthetic is the combined values of visuals, music, atmosphere, and tone. Maybe it's a sunny beach with white sand and the sound of rolling waves. Maybe it's a fireplace inside a lodge in the middle of a snowy forest. Or it's a rainy day in the city with the smell of coffee in the air. The consistency in Persona 5's unique aesthetic is found in all its assets: the music, levels, characters, the user interface, and more. There's a constant red and black to everything, including the character designs. The main character is the embodiment of the color scheme, almost done to signify his leadership role, and as the one who ties the Phantom Thieves together under one aesthetic. Ryuji wears a yellow t-shirt to signify that, while he identifies as a Phantom Thief, he's still very much a unique individual. Some characters, like Yusuke and Haru, don't have very obvious black and red coloration in their designs, but their personas do. Even then, Haru's persona is more pink than red to show that, while she's still a Phantom Thief, there is an air of regality to her. The Phantom Thieves may not all share exact color schemes, but the subtleties of their designs produce a similar aesthetic that subconsciously informs the player that each of these characters are similar in their own way.
Once you encounter friends who share your aesthetics and discover your place in reality, only then will I explain it all.
Not only do Persona 5's visuals represent the game's themes and personalities, the music is an obvious giveaway, all while remaining consistent to the game's city aesthetic. Atlus checked every single box when it comes to the atmosphere of city living. The protagonist lives in the attic of a coffee shop, eliciting the smell of fresh brews. On rainy days, a different, more subtle mix of the usual music plays, blending with the percussion of rain. It's these subtleties that make the player feel like they could almost feel the rain beat against the top of their head as the smell of coffee permeates through the air. And that's just one of the many different atmospherical aesthetics Persona 5 has. Almost every inch of Persona 5 is visually and audibly consistent with the overall aesthetic of the game, even down to distinct rooms. One of my favorite examples of Persona 5's ability to remain aesthetically consistent while also personalizing a character lies in Iwai's gun shop. The music begins tense, as if to give the feeling of a backdoor shady deal. But just as the player's relationship with the gun dealer reveals his true character and convictions, the music shifts to a much lighter, groovier tone. Just as Iwai starts off shady and becomes a reliable friend, so too does the music. The weather is as integral to Persona 5's aesthetic as its visuals and music. It's no secret that with changes in weather come changes in mood, and Atlus takes advantage of each of the moods each season provides to emphasize or accentuate certain feelings. I have always associated with the summer with friendship and group activity, which Persona 5 absolutely nails with the fireworks festival scene. Winter isn't as prominent in Persona 5 as it was in Persona 4, but the feeling of chilly air is visually apparent, with each character donning coats and jackets and their breath becoming visible. It's these little details that make the world feel dynamic and lived in, and the relationships between the characters add even more context to what they've been feeling each season. Personally, I associate the winter with Arctic Monkeys' AM, and a few nights with friends that I'll never forget. I associate the summer with young love and rainy days playing Uncharted 4. Persona 5 does a great job drawing out these associated feelings because it nails each season so perfectly, the player can't help but project their own feelings and memories onto the game.
I am thou high. There is no turning back. The skull of rebellion is your flag henceforth!
The dungeon crawling aspect of Persona 5 also represents different aspects of the game's seasons. The Desert Palace was meticulously chosen to take place during the summer, so the heat in both the real world and the metaverse can be related to by the player. It'd feel jarring to play that palace in the winter because it's such a contrast to the season instead of an extension. Rainy days and hot weather can also affect enemy behavior patterns, further driving home the importance of weather. It's all done for the sake of relatability and empathy. The more relatable a character in a situation is, the more empathetic the player will be toward their cause. It's the subtle trick that all Persona games play to great effect. It's not enough to just convey a certain mood or aesthetic. In order to make a lasting impact with the game's artistic direction, it needs to be consistent, but it also needs to have variety so the player doesn't get tired of it. Creating a game with a consistent art style while also juggling various themes, environments, and tones is not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one that Persona 5 seems to pull off with grace. The underlying theme of each Persona game is the friendship between outcasts, and that still remains true of Persona 5. However, Persona 5 has a much more serious tone, at least compared to Persona 4, dealing with issues like sexual harassment, domestic abuse, suicide, high school drug use, and more. Its boldness is found in every corner, and that is the kind of consistency that differentiates Persona 5 from any other game out there. It's not just consistent, it's the kind of consistency that takes risks. Every single creative decision was made for a reason. Tonal shifts, musical variants, everything Persona 5 does is done to evoke some kind of emotion or mood. That's the aesthetic of Persona 5. It's not just the short moments of playing video games with Morgana on a rainy day in the coffee shop attic. It's not just the days on the beach during the hot summer month. It's all of those things combined, with an artistic consistency designed to evoke a wide range of emotions. Emotion is the aesthetic of Persona 5, in whatever form that may take.